It's Tuesday, February 4th, and this is now on HNN.
I'm feeling good.
The candidates head for New Hampshire as the confusion in Iowa continues. I'm Michael George with what went so wrong at the caucuses.
White House officials are telling us what the president's State of the Union speech is missing.
I've read through the speech and I've not seen the word impeachment.
The number of people diagnosed with coronavirus is continuing to surge. I'm Hillary Lane with more on what the U.S. government is doing to try and stop the spread of the disease.
It seems that the virus spreads fairly easily.
And radio host Rush Limbaugh and actress Shannon Doherty both say they are now battling cancer. These stories, and you won't believe the expensive swag Oscar guests are getting, coming up on This Is Now.
From our vantage point here at the H&N Digital Center, we're taking a live video feed in right now from Iowa. That's where we're expecting in just minutes, any moment now, officials from the Iowa Democratic Party are going to at least release partial results from last night's caucus. Everyone's waiting for this, and it's actually been described as quite the debacle.
Right. Party officials blame the embarrassing delay on reporting inconsistencies and technology problems. Now, Michael George is in Des Moines with new details on what caused the confusion while the candidates move on to the next contest.
Elizabeth Warren called the Iowa caucuses a bumpy start, but predicted a top 3 finish.
I'm feeling good.
The presidential campaigns moved on to New Hampshire, where Pete Buttigieg hit an optimistic note.
Well, one thing we know is that we are arriving with the momentum in the 2020 presidential campaign right now.
Democratic officials in Iowa blamed a coding issue for the delay in Monday's results. In the midst of uncertainty, the candidates tried to make the best of it.
What an amazing night we had last night. I'm someone that thrives in chaos. You want a steady hand in chaos, right?
We don't know precisely how many delegates we have or how many we'll get, but I feel really good about getting more than our fair share.
The Iowa Democratic Party says its new mobile app recorded caucus data properly, but the problem was with reporting complete results. Because of the technical glitch, staffers went to each caucus site to cross-check hard copy results and make sure the numbers were right. Well before the results were tallied, Bernie Sanders, who had polled as Iowa's Democratic frontrunner, was hinting at victory.
I have a good feeling we're going to be doing very, very well here in Iowa.
Precincts here said they did not get to test the new technology ahead of Monday's caucus, and the delayed results were a glaring embarrassment for the state that prizes its role as the first contest in the primary season. Michael George, CBS News, Des Moines, Iowa.
And for our podcast listeners, we're still monitoring that live video feed coming in from Iowa. There's a press conference about to happen to announce those results. We're waiting for those. It's going to happen in just minutes. As soon as it does, we're going to bring it to you live right here on This Is Now.
Meanwhile, White House officials tell CBS News that President Trump's State of the Union speech does not contain any mention of the impeachment trial. But they also say just because it's not written in the written copy doesn't mean he won't bring it up. Here's Katherine Johnson from Capitol Hill.
President Trump is expected to tout his accomplishments during tonight's State of the Union address. White House officials have advised him to look forward and not wade into impeachment.
I've read through the speech and I've not seen the word impeachment. So if he, as he likes to say, we'll see what happens, but I haven't seen it.
The president zeroed in on the economy this morning, tweeting, "Mark it up big today on very good economic news. Jobs, jobs, jobs." And in tonight's Democratic response, Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer plans to keep the focus on issues important to Americans.
Promoting some of the good actions that Democrats are taking across the country that are really improving the quality of people's lives.
With an acquittal expected on both impeachment charges, at least one Democrat is looking for a way to still send a message to the president that asking Ukraine to investigate a political rival was wrong.
Censure would allow this body to unite across party lines and as an equal branch of government to formally denounce the president's actions and hold him accountable.
Senator Joe Manchin's censure resolution could attract moderate Republicans who have also denounced the president's actions but say they don't rise to the level of impeachment.
I cannot vote to convict. The Constitution provides for impeachment but does not demand it in all instances.
Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell can block a censure resolution from even coming to the floor for a vote. Katherine Johnson, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
All right, because of the State of the Union address, we're going to have some programming changes tonight. That is going to be on KHNL and KGMB. So you're going to want to watch tonight, prime time, because we're going to have a couple specials airing there on KGMB. First one's at 8 o'clock. There's this new show called Talk Story. It's really cool. A lot of local interviews, some music legends you'll see. And then at 9 o'clock, we are going to show the special documentary produced by the H&N digital team, Imelda and Ferdinand. And that is Exile in Hawaii. And I'm going to play just a little clip of that just so you can see what it's all about.
The internet.
400 cars, 3,000 pairs of shoes for the ex-beauty queen wife.
I don't think anybody ever thought that the whole political problem in the Philippines would end up in our backyard.
The plunder of the ages.
If you've ever wanted to know what a revolution looks like, feast your eyes on Manila tonight.
They basically fled the country. This was their home now.
Do you still consider yourself president?
Of course. I have not resigned.
And all the while millions of his people lived in filth and disease, Marcos and his family lived in glittering splendor.
It was totally divisive, and it hurt the community a lot.
They knew how to manipulate the system.
It is very good that we have the Filipino people supporting them here. Otherwise, I do not know what would have happened to them.
Exile in Hawaii has been less paradise than purgatory for the Marcoses.
We are barely surviving here.
She's excellent at playing the victim.
This is so cruel, so inhuman, and so immoral.
There's a little bit of Imelda in all of us.
When they went to my closet, not skeletons, but shoes.
Whoa. So I actually had the honor of producing that documentary here at the H&N Digital team, and I was just surprised at that bit of history we have here on the islands. A lot of people don't know about it, but again, that airs tonight on KGMB, 9 o'clock, Imelda and Ferdinand, a special H&N documentary. Meanwhile, we got to get some other news.
One of the nation's most influential conservative radio hosts, Rush Limbaugh, says he'll be taking days off because he has advanced lung cancer. He told millions of listeners about the diagnosis yesterday. Dr. Tara Narula is following the story.
I have to tell you something today that I wish I didn't have to tell you.
For someone who's built his career on being unapologetically outspoken, Rush Limbaugh seemed almost reluctant to share his very personal health battle Monday.
Is that I have been diagnosed with advanced lung cancer.
A known cigar smoker, the 69-year-old said he first realized something was wrong during his birthday weekend last month. He began experiencing shortness of breath, which he thought was asthma.
There are going to be days that I'm not going to be able to be here because I'm undergoing treatment or I'm reacting to treatment.
A close ally of President Trump, the radio host has been a leading voice for conservatives and a brash critic of liberals since launching his show in 1988. Limbaugh has a history of medical issues, including hearing loss and an addiction to prescription painkillers. He previously downplayed the health risks associated with smoking and has advocated on behalf of smokers.
A smoker should be given the highest medal that this country gives out.
Limbaugh says he hopes to be back on the air Thursday after he and his doctors determine the course of his treatment.
And know that every day I'm not here, I'll be thinking about you and missing you.
All right, we want to take you back out live. We've got a live video feed coming in from Iowa. They are announcing those at least partial results right now. Let's listen in.
Necessary steps to review and confirm the data. A thorough, transparent, and independent examination of what occurred yesterday will follow. But let me be clear. My number one priority has been on ensuring the accuracy and integrity of the results. And we have been working all night to be in the best position to report results. And here, in just a couple of minutes, we will be reporting 62% of precincts from all 99 counties. The bottom line is that we hit a stumbling block on the back end of the reporting of the data. But the one thing I want you to know, we know this data is accurate. And we also have a paper trail and documentation that have been able to use to provide information to help verify the results. This is personal to me. I'm a lifelong Iowan. I have caucused for 20 years. And I know how important it is to our party, to our state, and to everyone, from our neighbors to new voters, to be able to come together all across this state. We want Iowans to be confident in the results and in the process, and we are going to take the time that we need to make sure that we do just that. So I know folks are going to want to be seeing the results as they come in, but I'm happy to take a couple of quick questions before that happens.
How can anyone trust you now?
We have been working day and night to make sure that these results are accurate. The one thing I will say is that the underlying data, the raw data, is secure. It was always secure. This was a coding error in one of the pieces on the back end, but the raw data, the data that has come in, is secure, and I can assure Iowans of that.
Do you worry this could cost you your first in the nation status? Do you worry it could cost you your first in the nation status or endanger the caucuses as a nation?
The fact is that this is a conversation that happens every 4 years. There's no doubt that that conversation will take place again. But right now, my focus is making sure that we get these results out. We are going to continue to do that, and we will have the results out as soon as we can. Jeff. Well, we're going to take the time we need to get these results done. Now that we have the first batch that's going to be coming out here in a couple of minutes, we're going to continue to go through our processes, verifying everything. But the thing to remember here, folks, is that we have a paper trail. We have always said all along that throughout this process that we have backups to this system, that we have redundancies built in. And one of the ways that we do that is through the paper trail. Now, the fact is that as we started doing this last night, it took longer than we expected. And so, but my paramount concern is making sure that these results are accurate and reflect what happened last night in caucuses across the state. We're going to do just that, and we're going to take the time we need to do that.
About 62%.
Troy, when was the app submitted for review by an independent third party? Why was the app never tested statewide? And why did the Iowa Democratic Party deny the Department of Homeland Security's offer to test the app?
We have, I have no knowledge of the Department of Homeland Security making that offer to us. I will say that we have worked with cybersecurity experts, nationally renowned cybersecurity experts, to test this app and to do testing and security checks on this app. We took the steps we felt was necessary, but we found a coding error last night once we discovered some irregularities as the results started to come in. Yeah.
But why was it never tested?
What's that?
Were there any coding discrepancies during the third-party testing?
No, there weren't, and that's why what happened last night is simply unacceptable. And so, again, we're going to have a thorough and independent review of exactly what happened last night. Right now, we're in the process of making sure that we get these results out, and that's what we're going to stay focused on. Yeah. Yeah.
Donald Trump has suggested that this whole process is rigged. How do you combat that? How do you assure Americans that this is trustworthy, this data?
We have said all along that we were going to make these caucuses the most transparent possible. This year, we're reporting out more data than we ever have reported before. And in addition to that, we have paper trails that we've never had before. And so we're going to take the time we need to verify these results, but these results are being based off what happened in the precincts last night. When I ran for chair, I made a commitment to see the caucus process through. That is what I am working on. That is what I will continue to work on. And whatever happens after that is to be determined. Anyways, thank you all, folks. The results are coming in. We will see you later.
Again, that was Troy Price. He is the party chair of the Iowa Democrats. Now, again, he says we are expecting 62% of precincts. The results from 62% of the precincts, that's 99 counties, he said. He says they've been working all day and night to fix this problem. He says they know the info is accurate and they have the paper trail to prove it. He says the raw data was always secure, so he is not concerned about any errors in the results. He said that they have the backups to prove that the information is correct. He says they are going to be having an independent review of what happened during all this caucus chaos in Iowa. And again, we are awaiting the results of 62% of the precincts in Iowa. That is 99 counties.
And we're not exactly sure how those results are going to come in, so stay with us right here. We expect to get those any minute, and as soon as we get those numbers, we're going to pass them along to you. Meanwhile, we got to continue on with other news. We were talking about Rush Limbaugh and his cancer scare. Now there's another celebrity dealing with the same thing.
Right. Actress Shannon Doherty revealed she's battling breast cancer again. In an emotional interview that aired on Good Morning America, the 48-year-old said she now has stage 4 cancer. She was first diagnosed with breast cancer in 2015 and underwent a single mastectomy, radiation, and chemotherapy. The Charm star announced she was in remission in 2017, and she took part in last year's reboot of Beverly Hills 90210, partly because she wanted to prove she could continue working despite her second cancer diagnosis.
And we wish them both the best. I actually watched that reboot. Unfortunately, it's canceled now there on Fox, but I really enjoyed it, and I've always enjoyed her career, and I hope she bounces back. All right, we're going to talk more about the virus that's on everyone's mind.
That's right. So the latest is the number of people infected with the coronavirus surged to more than 3,000 overnight. Experts from the World Health Organization say the virus is an epidemic in China, but not a pandemic, meaning that it has not reached the epidemic stage in other continents. Here's Hillary Lane.
Crews in Wuhan, China are working around the clock to find space for the growing number of people with the deadly coronavirus. In addition to a newly built 1,000-bed hospital, a local gymnasium, an exhibition center, and a cultural complex are all being converted into makeshift hospitals in the epicenter of the outbreak. Chinese officials say they are mobilizing all resources.
And we are also doing intensive research in finding the drugs to deal with this.
In Hong Kong, more than 2,000 striking medical workers are demanding that the government close its borders with China. Hong Kong now has 1 confirmed death and at least 15 cases of the virus. More cases are expected.
There's a significant risk of community transmission in Hong Kong.
In the U.S., officials have identified a second case of human-to-human transmission, this time in California. The CDC is currently monitoring 82 people for potential infection.
It seems that the virus spreads fairly easily when you're not isolating cases quickly.
The U.S. government is making nearly $250 million in emergency funds available. Some of that will be used to cover the cost of screening and monitoring returning U.S. citizens in the coming weeks. Hillary Lane, CBS News, New York.
Meanwhile, back here at home, the health department says the state has secured a quarantine facility at Pearl Harbor, but officials say only a handful of people will probably need that kind of treatment. There are no suspected cases of coronavirus in Hawaii, but officials say they will remain vigilant because the outbreak could last for months.
If we think the problem is going to be over because they've closed those borders, that's not the case. It is going to continue to be an issue as long as the session occurs, and probably quite longer than that.
Health Director Bruce Anderson told state lawmakers that the state had no say in whether or not it wanted to be one of 11 airports with enhanced screening for the coronavirus. The federal government initially wanted Honolulu to take in hundreds of U.S. citizens who live abroad in China, but Anderson says he pushed back.
I said it was inappropriate to put these people up in hotels. We don't have another facility for them that can handle that many people coming. They were talking at the time about 200 plus people on each flight coming to Hawaii, and that was off the table.
There are currently no flights scheduled to Hawaii from China, but federal Homeland Security officials say passengers who need to be screened may be rebooked and sent to Oahu.
They are supposed to be rebooked to a direct flight to those 11 airports. So that's how that's supposed to work. We had to wrestle through that this weekend, but that is how that's supposed to work.
State transportation officials say they're ready if that happens. They say they already had procedures in place after dealing with past outbreaks like H1N1 and SARS.
I'm pretty comfortable with the process that's been in place for many years and it's been adjusted for coronavirus. We've also trained in Honolulu all of our airport firefighters in specifically how to deal with this coronavirus and swab for it.
The head of the Healthcare Association of Hawaii says the state's hospitals are prepared and staff are screening patients for coronavirus as well.
We do have adequate supplies of personal protective equipment for all the staff and patients and visitors in hospitals. We also do have what we call negative pressure isolation rooms on all islands across the state, so that if a patient does need to be admitted, they can be quarantined appropriately.
With suspected cases in 36 U.S. states, health officials say there's a chance the virus will show up in Hawaii. But they say simple steps like washing your hands or coughing and sneezing into your elbow will help protect you. And they discourage the sharing of rumors on social media.
That's harmful to our communities because it's not getting the important messages out. We need to, as a community, prepare for the eventual likelihood that this virus will be in our communities.
All right, let's get to the breaking news that we've been waiting for this entire newscast. This Iowa caucus update is here. We have the results. We're showing them to you on your screen here on Facebook Live. For our podcast listeners, Ashley's going to read them off to you. Here we go.
Right, CNN is reporting Pete Buttigieg is on top with 26.9% of the votes. Now, keep in mind, this is 62% of precincts reporting. Bernie Sanders, 25.1%, followed by Senator Elizabeth Warren with 18.3%, and then former Vice President Joe Biden at 15.6%. Again, 62% of precincts from 99 counties. This is from CNN. Pete Buttigieg at the top.
And they're not calling the race at CNN, so this is still a very close race. Again, we're going to continue following this. I hope you're signed up for our H&N push alerts, because we're going to bring those to you as soon as we find out the final winner. If they even declare it today, we will pass that along to you. All right, moving on to other news. Climate change. We're talking about that. A big report out with some startling news.
Scientists say U.S. coastlines are shrinking as sea level continues to rise at an accelerated rate. The Virginia Institute of Marine Science says it's happening at 25 of the country's tide gauge stations. They say the impact acceleration began in 2013 and the Gulf Coast is seeing the greatest impact. Researchers say warming temperatures, melting glaciers, and ice sheets are expanding the amount of water in our oceans, and they say worldwide the sea level has risen about 8 inches since the year 1880.
All right, speaking of weather, climate, we're taking you outside. Live video feed coming in right now from our tower cam, looking towards Diamond Head. Beautiful day out there, folks. You know, I just got back from a little trip to my family's house in the Midwest. It was a shivery, freezing temperatures at night. It was still up around 50 degrees during the day, but I was so glad to come back here. Beautiful weather out there.
We missed you.
But I hear, guess what? I hear there's a chance of thunderstorms in the works. So let's get it over to Guy Hoggy, who has an update on that and tell us exactly what's going on.
How's it on this Tuesday? I'm Guy Hoggy with your HawaiiNewsNow.com forecast. We continue to track this approaching cold front. It's due into the state by tomorrow, and it's going to drop down through the state through Thursday with increasing clouds, showers, maybe some heavy rainfall, maybe some thunderstorms, and we've got some cool, brisk northerly winds coming in behind it. So for today, the winds will be light. We'll see a lot of sunshine. We won't see much in the way of that front until tomorrow morning. Now, as far as the surf, it's on the way down. It's going to be small. But we got swells coming in Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. But it doesn't matter because we've got northerly winds coming in the same time as these swells, which means stormy conditions, unrideable conditions for most North Shore spots when those swells come in. So a really calm day today. Should be pretty nice. Not much in the way of rainfall. But by tomorrow morning, that front's going to come in, spreading down the island chain through Thursday. Kauai and Oahu could get thunderstorms tomorrow with heavy rain, and those winds will be shifting from variable to northerlies, and that means temperatures will be dropping. So it's going to be much cooler on Thursday. Mostly cloudy skies out there with those brisk northerly winds. Now, these clouds and showers will favor the east end of the state, and then that storm system should be pulling away, although some of the moisture will get caught up in those northwesterly winds, and we'll see windward and Mauka showers Friday and Saturday with much cooler temperatures. Keep it here on Hawaii News Now. We'll have all your severe weather.
And in other news here back at home, an annual report from HPD shows how many officers were disciplined last year. Lacey Denise has more.
A report from the Honolulu Police Department says disciplinary actions were taken against 37 officers last year. The annual report from the chief to state lawmakers said 6 of those 37 officers were fired. Among those discharged was Reginald Ramones. He failed to stop or report another officer who forced a homeless man to lick a urinal. According to the documents, another unnamed officer was fired for sexual misconduct on duty. 2 more were discharged after separate DUI accidents in police vehicles. And another officer was fired for insurance fraud after burglarizing his house and burning his own car. 1 officer was let go after failing a drug test. State law protects the names of disciplined officers from being publicly released.
Honolulu Mayor Kirk Caldwell has called off the redevelopment of the Neil Blaisdell Center over concerns about unknown rail costs. The city says it already spent nearly $17 million on studies and planning for the project on Ward Avenue, which was expected to cost about $700 million. Mayor Caldwell says they are putting the project on hold because they do not know the final cost of the last 4 miles of the rail line. He adds that with elections for a new mayor and 5 city council seats this year, it's best to let them decide whether they can afford a new Blaisdell on top of rail operations.
Now, Ann Kobayashi, she came out after this announcement, and she had some harsh words to say. We played a little bit in our newscast yesterday, but here on our podcast on This Is Now, we can play an extended version of that interview, and I want to play that out for you right now. Let's listen to Ann Kobayashi here.
When I asked about this project a while ago, the contracts for it wouldn't be ready until December of this year. Now, why would a mayor or any leader commit that big a project and then be leaving office and leave it for the next person? That really is unfair. Legacy or not, I wouldn't want a legacy where all the taxpayers were stuck holding the bag for rail. Because we want to know, what is the true cost? What is it going to be? And if we're going to commit money elsewhere, that's scary.
The city has been working on the Blaisdell Master Plan since 2016. Organizers held public workshops and design firms came up with elaborate renderings of the possible facilities. The city planned to pay for it all with bonds.
Oh, what a busy day in news. Mm-hmm. Let's have a little fun. Let's talk Oscars.
Yes, please.
Yeah, let's talk Oscars.
Right, so along with the thrill of being nominated for an Oscar, there are still some major perks in the form of a gift bag. Now, Forbes says the Academy Award nominees, the bags are worth about $215,000 this year. You do the math, that's 24 acting and directing nominees. So the total value of all these gift bags is $5.2 million.
That's insane.
The most expensive item, a 12-day, $78,000 cruise, and there is also a year's membership to a dating service worth $20,000.
Are you kidding me? This is crazy. Nominees also get $25,000 in cosmetic procedures from a New York doctor, as well as chocolate cannabis edibles. Wow, they're going to be loving the show, I guess.
A wide range of gifts.
If a nominee refuses to accept the bag, this is the cool thing. They may donate it to charity there. So, and guess what? They also have to turn this in on their taxes. Mm-hmm. So, hey.
I heard no one has not taken it yet.
Really?
Yeah.
I would feel a little guilty, honestly. Like, I really would. I don't know. That's too much. That's way too much.
Well, we're in the newsroom, we're talking about it. Like, to these people, it's probably like a Starbucks gift card or something.
Yeah, when you're making $30 million a movie. Yeah, exactly. $25,000 in cosmetic surgery. I don't even know what that gets you in New York or LA.
Or the dating service? Well,
yeah, Yeah, how many celebrities? Well, yeah. Some of them are on there. We did that story about Sharon Stone was on a dating service.
Sharon Stone's on Bumble, so.
I love this next story. Let me pull up my graphic here and give you a hint. Something's coming back from the past.
Oh, yes.
And we're excited about it here at This Is Now.
A snack from the 90s. General Mills says Dunkaroos, which had disappeared in 2012, will be returning to stores this summer, but only one flavor is going to be sold in the U.S. That's the vanilla cookies with vanilla frosting and rainbow sprinkles.
All right, so this got me thinking of some of our 90s lunchbox snack stars. And let me show you. This is what Dunkaroos used to look like. You see something missing there? The kangaroo, the classic kangaroo. Mm-hmm. It looks like Betty Crocker didn't bring him back for some reason, but those were delicious.
Oh, yeah.
I had those in my lunch pail all the time.
And remember when they changed the cookie to like There was like a one with chocolate chips in it, and they had different flavors of cookies too.
Oh, I just loved licking the icing at the end. Skip the cookies.
You always ran out of icing.
Yeah, skip the cookies. All right, some other 90s flashbacks. Remember these guys? Gushers.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, the one thing I didn't like about those is they would always clump together when it got warm, so you just got like one gusher glob. But I love those. And they would stick to your teeth. You'd have a little snack for later. All right, next one. See if you remember this one. I was just talking about this because that is delicious stuff. Rice Krispie Treats cereal. Why is it not on the shelf anymore, folks? Come on, Kellogg's, bring it back.
I know.
And one more blast from the past. I honestly was not the biggest fan of these. Butterfinger BBs. Yeah,
my peanut allergy. So.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think butter. Yeah, that's totally not for Ashley there. But talking about sticking to your teeth, those things they'd be there. You had to brush it right off.
How I didn't have any cavities growing up, I have no idea.
Well, unfortunately, I wasn't as good as a kid as you were. So, those are your 90s snack food flashbacks.
Thanks for that, Jonathan.
All right, yeah, of course. We got some more food news we need to get to. We love talking about our snacks here.
So first it was the Impossible Burger. Now meatless chicken is apparently a thing. Fast food giant KFC debuted its vegan chicken nuggets, and apparently customers are lining up for it. Here's Gaddy Schwartz.
There's only one way to cook Colonel Sanders Kentucky Fried Chicken.
If Colonel Sanders could see the day that vegans lined up outside KFC, it would look like this. Introducing Kentucky Fried Plant-Based Chicken. After selling out during test runs in Atlanta in a matter of hours, meatless chicken has now made its way onto KFC's menu in Charlotte and Nashville.
The Amazing Colonel presents Paprika Chicken.
And on commercials, it looks like the real thing.
It tastes like chicken.
But how does it taste to vegans?
I love the crispiness it has to offer. This is like a treat for me now because I can still enjoy what I liked growing up, but also to enjoy it not feeling, for lack of words, guilty.
It's the latest push by the company Beyond Meat into the mainstream after concocting substitute beef burgers for places like Carl's Jr.'s, TGI Fridays, and Del Taco, and going head-to-head with meatless competitor Impossible Foods, both capitalizing on a demand to transform veggies into meat. But don't expect the debate over which is healthier to be settled when it comes to deep-fried anything. For some customers, it's more about sustainability.
It's the future. I think the future is going to be plant-based.
And now the Colonel himself promising even plants can be finger-licking good. Gotti Schwartz, NBC News, Los Angeles.
All right, during that story we're talking, Ashley does not like any of the fake chicken brands out there, really.
I don't, you know, if I'm going to eat meat or want meat, I'm going to just eat meat.
I have a few favorite ones I really like. I was saying I like the Yard House Gardein wings. They're really good. I eat real chicken too. I eat both, but I think those are actually better than like a regular boneless wing. It tricks me every time, and it's delicious. And a lot of people don't like the process of what's happening and how that food comes to the table, so that's another alternative there for them. I don't know, there's so many options out there for non-meat
I'll try
eaters.
anything once.
All right, we want to recap you on our breaking news of the hour real quickly. We have some numbers that everyone was waiting for from the Iowa caucuses. What can you tell us, Ashley?
Right, so CNN reporting Pete Buttigieg has 26.9% of the votes in Iowa right now. This is with 62% of the precincts reporting. Behind him, Senator Bernie Sanders with 25.1%, Senator Elizabeth Warren in third with 18.3%, and former Vice President Joe Biden has 15.6% of the votes in Iowa. Again, this comes after all that chaos with the Iowa caucuses overnight. This is 62% of the precincts reporting. They have not called a winner yet because they believe that the margin between Buttigieg and Sanders is just too close at this time.
What an exciting day in politics today. We got the State of the Union coming up in just a little bit on all our networks. We're going to stream it live as well, so you're going to stay with your H&N digital platforms and on air. We're going to be giving you coverage all day long. Remember, we don't have a 5 or 5:30 today because of that State of the Union address, so catch us at 6 on KGMB and K5 and at 6:30 for our next daytime newscast. Until then, we'll see you tomorrow.